He said it like a closing remark, not a threat. Quiet, practiced, almost gentle. "You'll never touch my money again." The words didn't sting because of what they meant. They hurt because I realized he'd been rehearsing them for years. That single sentence carried every dinner I sat through, pretending not to see the texts under the table. Every birthday forgotten. Every apology that sounded more like an invoice. I had kept the peace the way women are taught to, by folding myself smaller until I almost disappeared. But that morning, in front of his mother's pearls and his lawyer's smile, something inside me stopped shrinking. I wasn't angry. Not yet. Just done. He still believes I'll play my part, silent, grateful, obedient. He has no idea the story he's been writing is about to lose its author. The courtroom was colder than I remembered. Light poured through the tall wooden windows, catching dust in slow motion, as if even the air didn't want to move too fast. The scent of polished oak mixed with expensive cologne, heavy and sharp, the kind that lingered long after its owner left the room. My hand rested on the white envelope beneath the table, its edges pressing into my palm like a pulse. The judge's voice sliced through the hush, calling my name. Each syllable carried the weight of a life I no longer recognized. Across from me sat the man who once made promises in the same voice he now used to give orders. His suit fit perfectly, every detail rehearsed, the calm expression, the faint smile, the show of control. His lawyer spoke with the confidence of someone who thought the verdict was already written. Words like dependence and no financial contribution floated in the air, sterile and cruel. I kept my gaze low, not out of shame, but precision. Every sound, every shift of tone, every glance told me more than they realized. The envelope beneath my hand wasn't evidence yet, but it would be. When the gavel struck, the noise echoed through the room like a gunshot. I stood, straightened my jacket, and felt the silence settle around me, steady, deliberate. Outside, the morning sun burned through the mist. Harriet caught up to me on the courthouse steps, her heels clicking fast. "What's next?" she asked. I met her eyes, the corner of my mouth barely lifting. "An investigation." They thought the case was over. They had no idea it had just begun. The afternoon was still, the kind of silence that hums under your skin. The bay shimmered silver beneath the late light, the surface rippling just enough to look alive. I drove home beneath the Spanish moss that hung from the oaks like tired memories, their shadows stretching long over the road. The house waited for me, spotless as always, too perfect to feel lived in. Dane used to call it our $1,000,000 haven. Now it looked like a museum of control, every cushion aligned, every trace of me erased. The wine glass on the counter still carried a faint lip print that wasn't mine. I walked into my old office, the one he'd once called our shared workspace, before he suggested that I rest, that I didn't need to handle numbers anymore. I could still hear his voice, soft but final. A woman shouldn't have to worry about money. It sounded generous at the time. Now I knew it was a sentence disguised as affection, in the bottom drawer. I found the bank files from the Whitman Hope Foundation. The pages were crisp, the ink clinical, the kind of neatness that hides rot. A transfer of $220,000 to Cayman Development Trust. Signed, Eleanor Whitman. I had spent years tracing other people's crimes. I never imagined I'd uncover my own family's. I photographed every page, each flash of the camera slicing through the dark like a blade. The images I hid on a drive tucked inside the coffee machine, a habit from a life Dane thought I'd forgotten. When I heard his car pull into the driveway, I poured coffee as if nothing had changed. The scent mixed with the cologne he brought back from New York. Sharp, foreign, deliberate. He leaned in the doorway, loosened his tie. "Still here?" "Nowhere else to be," I said, watching the steam rise between us like smoke. That night, my phone vibrated once on the nightstand. No name, no number, just a message. "Stop digging. Some stones should stay buried." I stared at the words until the screen dimmed. Outside, across the bay. The lights from Eleanor's house flickered against the water. I didn't need a signature to know who had sent it. Something in me cooled then, not fear, not anger, just clarity. Whatever they were hiding was about to surface, and I intended to be the one standing on shore when it did. The storm moved in slow, steady waves that night, rain tapping the windows like restless fingers. From upstairs, I reactivated the old security feed Dane thought I'd disconnected years ago. The screen blinked to life in shades of gray. Two figures appeared in the camera's glow, Eleanor and Claire. Claire hesitated by the study door, her umbrella dripping onto the tile. "You know what to take," Eleanor whispered. "Whitman Development Holdings, top drawer. Hurry!" Claire's voice trembled. "We shouldn't be doing this." Eleanor's laugh was soft, cruel. "What's wrong is letting that woman keep what doesn't belong to her." I shut the monitor off. My pulse jumped, but my hand stayed steady. If they were stealing files, it meant the files mattered, and now I knew exactly which ones. By morning, my laptop was dead. Black screen, blank emails, everything wiped clean. Harriet called before I could curse aloud. "He's petitioning for a mental evaluation," she said. "Claims you're unstable, unfit to manage finances. It's his way of locking you out." I almost laughed. He forgets who taught him to forge a balance sheet. That afternoon, I bought a new drive, copied every document, and split the data 3 ways. One I hid beneath the floorboard of my office, another in the glove compartment, the last labeled coffee receipts, and slid into the kitchen cabinet between sugar and filters. That evening, we sat across from each other at dinner, the quiet between us sharper than knives. He studied me the way a man studies a lock he can't open. "Still writing those little notes of yours?" he asked finally. I looked up, met his eyes. "No, I'm just remembering what I used to forget." He smirked, mistaking composure for surrender. He had no idea that the files he thought were stolen were bait, and that the trap was already set, with his mother's fingerprints all over it. Outside, thunder rolled over the bay, low and distant. Inside, the house held its breath, waiting for the storm to find its way in. Charleston hung under a low sky that smelled like rain and rust. I sat in a corner cafe on Broad Street, the kind of place where time slowed just enough to think. Across from me, Eli Navarro stirred his coffee without drinking it, watching me with the quiet patience of someone who knew too much. "You know this is dangerous," he said. "You've done this work before. If you keep going, you'll lose everything." I didn't blink. I already have. Now I just want the truth. I slid a folder across the table, the transfer to Cayman Development Trust, Eleanor's neat signature at the bottom. Eli frowned. "Any direct proof?" "Not yet, but I can get it." He handed me a small box. Inside was a black pen, smooth, weighty, voice-activated. He said, 8 hours of battery. Use it wisely." When I held it, something inside me woke up. Once, I'd hunted crimes for the government. Now, I was hunting one for myself. That night, Dane hosted another dinner. His laugh was too loud, too perfect. Claire sat beside him, her hand trembling on her glass. When he saw me, he smiled. "Still remember how to pour a drink?" I poured, pressed the button on the pen, and listened. Claire's voice slipped through the hum of conversation. "The Cayman transfer's complete," she said. Dane's reply was soft, confident. "Good. Mother signs tomorrow." Later, alone in my room, my phone buzzed. "Good job, Mrs. Whitman. But now they'll start watching you too. Eli's warning, down the hall." Dane's voice carried through the door. "Don't let her leave. I want everything under control." The light caught his watch, bright as a shackle. When I opened my laptop, a hidden window flashed to life. The living room camera feed, not the FBI, him. He'd wired the house. I didn't close it. I wrote a note, held it up to the lens. "Keep watching. You're about to learn how justice works." Then I shut the screen and let him stare at his own reflection. Sunday morning light spilled across the table. Noah sat quietly, staring at his plate. Dane read the paper, calm as ever. From the outside, we looked perfect. The new watch on Noah's wrist blinked red once. "Recording?" I met Dane's eyes. I used to manage more than time, I said. His smile didn't reach his eyes. That afternoon, when he left, I synced the watch to my phone. One file, I pressed play. Dane's voice came first, steady. Eleanor, I'm worried about Claire. She's talking too much. Then Eleanor's reply, cold as glass. Don't worry. Women like her just need a little accident. I saved the file, sent it to Eli. Minutes later, his voice, you just saved a life. No, I said. I just documented their own ending. That night, Dane came home reeking of whiskey. I know you're watching me, he said. Everything here belongs to me, except the truth. I answered. Later, I passed Noah's room. He was listening to the recording, tears shining in the blue light. Mom, is Dad bad? He whispered. When people fear the truth, I said, they build lies to hide it. He nodded, and I saw it. The moment he stopped believing in his father's perfection, Charleston glowed that Saturday night, golden light spilling over the harbor like melted brass. Inside the Harborview Hotel, chandeliers glittered over crystal glasses and laughter rehearsed to sound generous. The Whitman Hope Foundation Gala, where hypocrisy dressed itself in pearls. I walked in wearing silver gray, simple and quiet, no jewelry, no smile, just purpose. At the center of the room, Eleanor Whitman stood under the lights, pearls catching every flash of a camera. Tonight, she declared, we give hope to those who have none. Beside her, Dane smiled. Hand on Claire's back, his new accessory. I stayed in the shadows, raised a glass, pressed the tiny recorder inside my purse. The click was almost inaudible. Claire approached, voice trembling through a polite smile. You really came. I thought you'd stay away. And I thought you'd be smarter than this, I said. Her laugh faltered. My hand brushed the pearl bracelet on her wrist. Pretty, but real pearls are heavy. They pull you down if you fall in deep water. When the host announced a $500,000 donation from Whitman Holdings, Dane glanced at Eleanor. One small nod. Then Claire slipped. The Cayman transfer's finished? She murmured. Her face went white. Sorry, I didn't mean. I caught every word. After the gala, I found her in the parking lot, cigarette trembling between her fingers. They said I'll disappear if I talk. I can't take it anymore. Then stop protecting them. She shoved an envelope into my hand. The accounting ledgers. But she knows. She's watching me. Headlights cut through the rain. Eleanor's SUV pulled in, her voice slicing the night. She's braking. Keep her close. Handle it if you have to. By the time I turned, Claire was gone, swallowed by the dark. I texted Eli. She's in danger. I have proof. No reply. At home. I opened the envelope. Real ledgers. Transfers totaling $1.2 million, signed by both Dane and Eleanor. Each line a confession. Lightning flashed against the window, catching my reflection. Calm, resolved. There would be no turning back. Morning came gray and heavy. The radio hummed as I poured coffee. A woman found dead on Interstate 26. Unidentified. My stomach tightened. I called Eli. No answer. Harriet. Nothing. I opened last night's audio. Eleanor's voice crackled through. If she talks, I'll handle it. One small accident. No one will question it. I sent it to Eli through the encrypted line. A minute later, his text appeared. She's safe. Stay still. We need them to move first. That evening, Dane hosted dinner. Eleanor arrived wearing black and a smile sharp enough to cut glass. Noah sat between us, silent, to family. Dane toasted. To truth, I said. He leaned close. You're destroying this name. No one will believe you. I don't need them to believe. I said. I just need them to hear. Later, Noah waited in his room, pale, trembling. I recorded dinner, he whispered, like Dad taught me. But for you, I hugged him. You just saved me, I said softly. Maybe you saved more than that. Thunder rolled as I caught Dane's voice downstairs. She won't stop, he told his mother. Don't teach me, she snapped. I fixed problems before you could count money. I hit record one last time. Their voices, their downfall, stored in a file named Monday. Outside. Lightning tore across the bay. My phone lit up. Arrest scheduled. Monday 9 a.m. I closed the laptop, looked in the mirror, and saw the truth staring back. He said I'd never fight. He was right. I didn't fight. I recorded. Sunday night fell heavy over Charleston. The kind of silence that comes before a storm tears everything clean. Wind howled through the oak trees. Rain slashed against the glass, and the city seemed to hold its breath. I slipped on a black coat, the white envelope, and a copy of the USB tucked safely inside my bag. When I started the car, headlights flared in the rearview mirror. Dane's car. He was following. I drove toward the parking lot beneath the Arthur Ravenel Bridge, where I'd once met Eli for safer conversations. The rain thickened as I stopped under the bridge. Then Dane appeared, drenched in shadow, rain sliding off his coat. His eyes caught the light. Cold. Metallic. "You think justice will save you?" he said, his voice swallowed by thunder. "No," I answered, pulling the recorder from my pocket. "But it'll remember you." He moved closer, his hand darting for my wrist. But I didn't step back. "You destroy everything just to humiliate me?" I held his gaze. "I'm just giving you back what you fear most. The truth." The recorder blinked red. His rage spilled over, his words cutting through the storm. "If not for my mother, you'd be nothing. Whitman blood is untouchable." Lightning split the sky, lighting his face, contorted, furious, fragile. I opened the car door, my pulse steady. "You're right, Dane. I can't touch your money. But I just recorded you touching your own downfall." I drove away, leaving him in the rain, alone, shouting into thunder as the faint wail of sirens drew closer through the storm. My phone buzzed. Eli's voice came through, calm but sharp. "We'll arrest them tomorrow at court. You did good. Stay quiet." I gripped the wheel tighter, heart pounding. The storm outside was nothing compared to the one finally breaking inside me. Monday morning came bright and clean. The storm scrubbed from the Charleston sky. Sunlight bounced off the courthouse steps, sharp and white. Inside, the room was packed. Press, cameras, strangers waiting for a show. I sat at the plaintiff's table, the white envelope in my hands. Across the aisle, Dane entered in a black suit, confidence stitched into every line. Eleanor followed, pearls gleaming like armor. Claire sat in the back row, pale, head down. His lawyer began smoothly, calling me unstable, vindictive, desperate. I let him talk. When silence fell, I rose and placed the envelope before the judge. "Your Honor, this contains my cooperation report with the FBI and the evidence you've requested." The courtroom went still. Judge Eleanor Green flipped through the pages, her lips twitching before she let out a quiet, genuine laugh. "Mrs. Whitman," she said, "this may be the most efficient submission I've ever received." The rear doors opened. Eli and two agents entered, badges glinting. "Dane Whitman, Eleanor Whitman, you are under arrest for money laundering, obstruction, and conspiracy." Dane went pale. "You don't know what you've done." "No," I said. "I just gave back what you stole." As they were led away, Claire stood trembling. "I'll testify," she whispered. And justice, for the first time, had a voice and a little laughter to go with it. 3 months later, spring returned to Charleston. White magnolias bloomed along the bay, their scent drifting through open windows. I sat in my small office at Whitman Analytics, the company I'd built from the wreckage. On the wall behind me hung a framed line in clean black letters. "Financial independence is emotional freedom." Noah, now a college freshman, stepped in and placed an envelope on my desk. "Mail from the court," he said. Inside was a letter from Judge Green. "Your cooperation prevented a financial collapse in South Carolina's real estate sector. Justice has its own sense of humor." I read it twice, then smiled. No bitterness, no triumph, only peace. Stepping out onto the balcony, I watched the sunlight dance on the water. The bay shimmered like glass, calm and infinite. He was right, I thought. I never touched his money. I built my own. The wind lifted my hair, carrying the scent of salt and magnolia blossoms. For the first time in years, I didn't feel small, or hidden, or owed. I felt free, exactly as I had promised myself the day I walked out of that courtroom. Justice, it turned out, didn't roar. It simply smiled,